I'm going to do the follow-up to my first topic this month, which was depression, here on Hayzbetts Speaks. I found a couple of a website with a couple of different things on it that I'm going to talk about today, because I have done some research into the depression topic, and I wanted to just take a second to say thank you so much to everybody who commented their personal stories on the first video. I read through them all and got very upset reading them, but I also got kind of a warm fuzzy feeling when I was kind of reading the end saying that you're much better now, and I was like, yay. But yeah, they made me sad, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for feeling brave enough to share your stories with me and with all the other viewers, so thank you. So I found some different types of depression. I didn't really mention any types in the first video, so doing my research, there's actually a lot more than what I thought there was. So one type is major depression, and this is if you feel depressed most of the time for most of the days of the week, and so it's like if you feel it all the time, basically. And there are other symptoms that you could have, which could be loss of interest or pleasure in activities, weight loss or gain. See, everybody always says, oh, I'm so stressed I've lost weight. Some people comfort eat. That's what I used to do, and that's why I piled on a lot of weight. Trouble sleeping, trouble getting to sleep, or feeling sleepy during the day. I felt very lethargic. I mentioned that in the first one. Feelings of being sped up or slowed down, being tired and without energy, feeling worthless or guilty, trouble concentrating or making decisions, and then obviously there's the awful one, which is thoughts of suicide. So if it says that the doctor might diagnose you with it if you have 5 or more of the symptoms that I've just read out, or most of the days for 2 weeks or longer. So that's when the doctor will kind of say, yeah, I think you've got major depression. Talk therapy can help. There is also repetitive transcranial magnetic stimulation, or there is also electroconvulsive therapy, but they're obviously a lot more severe. So the next type of depression that I found out was persistent depressive disorder, and that is if you have depression that lasts for 2 years or longer. And it's very similar symptoms to before, but it's also things like there could be a change in your appetite, sleeping too much or too little, low self-esteem, you know, that sort of thing. And it says that it may be treated with psychotherapy, medication, or a combination of the two. So they're kind of, yeah. I don't want to say they're the worst ones, because any form of depression is terrible, obviously. The next one is bipolar, and it could also be called manic depression. It's where you can go from extreme highs to major lows. That is normally that is normally dealt with medication, but it's not something that you can just get rid of. It's something that you have to deal with I don't know if it's for the rest of your life, it doesn't say, but yeah, the medication will stabilise your mood. Then there is SAD, which is seasonal affective disorder, and that is a period of major depression that mostly happens during the winter months when the days grow short and you get less sunlight. And if you are diagnosed with SAD, then you will need to sit in front of a special bright light box for about 15 to 30 minutes a day, and that should help lift your mood, or move somewhere like Spain where it's nice and sunny. There's also psychotic depression, which is where you can have things like hallucinations, delusions and paranoia, which is another one that is sorted with medication. A lot of these are medication. Then there's postpartum depression, which is for women who have major depression in the weeks and months after childbirth, and antidepressant drugs can help. There is also premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which is PMDD, and that is women who have depression and other symptoms at the start of their period, which I think a lot of women could say that they have. Then there's also situational depression. This isn't a technical term, but you can have a depressed mood when you're having trouble managing a stressful event in your life, such as a death in your family, a divorce, or losing your job. And that very stress-related one, that one is. Then there's also atypical depression, and this type is different than the persistent sadness of typical depression. If you have atypical depression, a positive event can temporarily improve your mood. So if you have a night out or a birthday or a holiday, it can make you feel better, and then when you come back to your mundaneness, it can bring you back down again. So that's everything that I sort of found, and I did find some natural ways to try and help with depression as well. It's not necessarily a cure, but it can help relieve the stress from your life, which can in turn help with the depression side. Things like getting to a routine, set goals, exercise, eat healthily, get enough sleep, which is easier said than done, take on responsibilities, challenge negative thoughts, check with your doctor before using supplements, do something new and try to have fun. But I do sort of agree with them, but if you're suffering from depression, just do something fun. It's not that easy to do. It's not just like, oh, I know, I'm depressed, but today I'm going to go to the fun fair and have a great day. It's not that easy. It's a psychological thing up here that you need to try and combat and get around. But from what I've found, medication seems to be the main thing that helps, but medication has its very negative side effects as well. Not just things like nausea and drowsiness and sometimes weight gain, that sort of thing, but it's also, it takes a long time to get into your system. You might not be on the right dose, you might not be on the right type. It can take months and months to find the right medication to suit you, and obviously while you're going through your depression and you're trying to find your medication, that's making everything worse. I felt, because I had such extreme anxiety, when I was trying to get my medication to work and it wasn't working, that was making me worse, that was making my depression worse. And it's a vicious cycle. It's a really hard thing to kind of break. And even talking to people, like I think I said in my first video, to try and talk to someone impartial. Again, it's not that easy. You have to really build yourself up. Like a friend of mine suffers really badly, and I keep telling them to try talking to people. But again, it's not that easy to just say, I'm going to go and talk to this stranger today. It's not that easy. And things like psychiatrists, trying to get one of them on the NHS, I was told it was going to take months to be able to get an appointment with a psychiatrist or a grief counsellor, and I think that's terrible. And I know that they do everything they can, but I do feel like there's not enough in this country. That we all suffer death so often, but then you have to wait about 6 months to be able to go and see a grief counsellor. I don't think that's good enough, because in that 6 months you're going to be excuse me, you're going to be having to deal with it on your own, which some people can cope with and some people don't. Everybody is different. Everybody's brains work differently. So it's a really hard subject to kind of cut and dry. I can't sit here and say, right, if you're depressed, go and do this, go to the doctor, take these tablets, you'll feel better. It's not that easy. It's something really difficult that is being looked at every day. It's being worked on every day, and people unfortunately suffer with it every day. It's never going to be cured. It will always be here, because we're always going to have a stressful life. Even if you've got everything you think you could possibly want, something could happen and it can still bring you right back down again. But all I can say is the things that I said in the first video. If you are feeling troubled, try and talk to somebody. If you can, try and talk to somebody. If you don't feel you can talk to somebody, write it down, write it in a letter, and then if you feel brave enough, post it. Even if you just post it to yourself, it's a step in the right direction, and it's getting you started on the right road. But that's about all I can really say. I can't really say much more, because that's all I've managed to find out, and I feel like I've kind of let this subject down a little bit. Maybe I should have started with something not quite as hard, but it has to be talked about, and unfortunately it happens every day. But anyway, I'm going to stop rambling and repeating myself. I hope that this, I won't say enjoyed, but I hope that this video has helped at least one person. Again, if you want to share your stories down below, please feel free to. If you don't want to, that's absolutely fine. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you next month with our next topic. Bye, guys.